So one episode had to start off this list, and unfortunately for Eclipsed, it just couldn't keep up with the others. Eclipsed begins as a group of soldiers stumble onto a cave.
Cave? Well, duh.
Not cave, kawe. It's Latin. It means beware.
Inside is a strange gem and an even stranger old man who the soldiers quickly take down, only to then be taken down by one of their own, the soldier who grabbed the gem. Meanwhile, Gordon Godfrey, a talk show host, is lambasting the Justice League, and more particularly the Flash, as he declares them to be a menace. Of course, any rational person would note his continued use of straw man arguments, like when he's talking to the Flash.
Of course you are! And I'm sure you can account for the fact that since your so-called Justice League formed, white-collar crime is up 3%.
White collar, that's not really our...
Or maybe you'd care to explain why on your watch 50% of marriages now end in divorce, and the other 50% in death.
However, he's pretty much preaching to the converted, who have no trouble in lapping up what they want to hear, with no thoughts of their own. Got to give credit to this show in calling out something so prevalent now, all the way back in the early 2000s. And if the focus was on Godfrey and how people should form their own opinions, then this episode may have ranked higher. But we have to return to the actual plot. The old man, known as Mofir, begins to track the possessed soldier who has ended up at an army base. Though how he got there is a bit of a mystery, as whilst he is picked up by another soldier in a car at the beginning, he isn't in the same vehicle when he gets to the base, which means that something must have happened in the intervening time. Something that may have been killing someone else and stealing the second car. Especially since he does this whilst in the car.
Hey!
How many mammals would this kill?
Buddy, I need you to put that back, okay?
So you can imagine that the first chance the other soldier might have reported him. However, this also brings up one of the two main reasons for this episode being the least good episode of the series. How much knowledge the gem actually has. Since it doesn't know about a nuclear missile, but it does know how to drive. It knows how to work a computer, but doesn't know who the Justice League is. If it's siphoning off skills, that's one thing, but seems to take only memories or knowledge as appropriate to the plot. Which, for such a well-written show like this, feels a little like a cop-out. The gem ends up in the hands of a general at the base, who realizes it will need the Justice League to further its plans. So, of course, he does this.
Mankind's time will be forever eclipsed! Tonight, my people will be avenged!
So many questions about this, but truly not enough time. The gem ends up in the hands of Wonder Woman, but no one seems to notice anything wrong with her, despite all the obvious signs, like trying to throw a man to his death.
No, he's finished.
Wonder Woman learns how the project the general was working on could be used as a weapon before being attacked by Mofir, which, as you can imagine, doesn't go well. However, Flash decides to listen to Mofir's story and learns all about the evil snake people who sealed themselves into the gem, and how mankind's attempt to guard it was simply to put up a stone tent around it. We also learn how evil can be removed.
2 ways. Pure light from Mofir's gem drives spirits back into Heart of Darkness.
Great. What's the second way?
Separate host head from body.
Bummer.
Should you give the gem to this guy? I don't think anyone would care if he's beheaded. Returning to the Watchtower, Flash recreates the testing scene from The Thing.
You're clean. So's Diana. Superman?
Before it's revealed that the gem is actually in possession of Green Lantern. In the ensuing battle, Hawkgirl smashes the gem, which makes things far worse, because the fragments can also control people, leaving the Flash the only one not possessed. The possessed heroes fire the device stolen from the military base into the sun, which seems to get there pretty fast even with the push it gets, which begins to cause the sun to go out. Flash manages to trick the possessed heroes to a new light source, as they had destroyed the gem earlier, freeing them from the spirits once and for all. Which makes me wonder why there's no mention of the Guardians trying to destroy the gem when they somehow knew exactly what it could do, but that's more of a nitpick than a real issue. Of course, the heroes save the day, and Godfrey is shown to have completely lost all but 3 of his viewers, whilst the Flash matures a little as he turns down a sponsorship deal like the ones he'd been doing at the beginning of the episode, instead leaving it up to someone else.
Mofir's job to preserve the world. So when Mofir need fast relief from cramping, burning, itching, Mofir always reach for Gluxitol.
Ending the episode. Now, I said there were two main problems with this episode, and the other is Mofir. Unfortunately, he's a little superfluous to the plot. He's there for exposition and a MacGuffin that, in the end, becomes useless midway through. They could have had the possessed heroes tell the tale of the snake people, and had the Flash work out that bright light could banish them, as the only reason for the red gem is the whole testing sequence, which is great, but seems to be the only reason for it to exist. Really, this feels like two plot lines in one episode, with neither being enough to fill it all out, so they were brought together. Which seems bizarre as this episode is right after A Better World, which has an alternate universe version of the Justice League appear and take the place of the actual Justice League when they've been ruling their own Earth under martial law. If they'd focused on the Godfrey subplot as its main story, then it would have been a great follow-up to the previous episode, making the League question if they're really doing more harm than good and wonder about their public image. An idea that often pops up during the series and seems like a good avenue to explore. However, the plotline with Mofir just doesn't come across as a learning experience for the Flash to grow, or for any sort of positive moral message to get through, something this series does do well and subtly. And the idea that Godfrey's audience just up and quits after the League saves the Earth rings hollow when one of the very first things they did in the series was save the Earth. So for an episode that quite literally got eclipsed by every other, it starts us off at number 25. Hey people, and thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the next one of these a full day before anybody else, you can do that by supporting me on my Patreon page. However, if you're watching this on my Patreon page, then thanks for your support.